Hello, everyone. I'm going to take a moment to adjust this screen just a little bit so you can see me better. I have my mat right here. Hi, everyone. It is Rose from Yoga for All with Rose. Thank you for joining me. I welcome you to our 60-minute vinyasa flow. We will do quite a few hip openers, especially towards the end of the class. This is an intermediate flow, but anyone is welcome. I just will not be explaining all the cues so as a practice it is a little bit more advanced in the sense that I am not cueing the correct alignment of all poses. um, as always, please listen to your body's messages and let those inform you what your practice needs, always honoring and always modifying for what you need in your day to day. Hopefully, I can give you verbal options. Um, but yes, thank you for being here. I remind you but that by participating, you do so at your own choice and um, assume all risk. Um, Thank you for being here, whether you are joining me on the live stream or you are watching this as a replay. We are going to get started on our yoga mat. I will not be using any props for this practice today. But if you know your practice benefits from using props, I invite you to do so. I hope you can hear me okay. I should be all set here. So let's meet at the yoga mat and make your way to a wide-legged child's pose. So bringing your big toes to touch, opening those knees to the edges, to the side edges of your mat where you feel comfortable. And then gently, I invite us to start just gently on our forearms. As the focus is our hips today, so I invite you to take this moment to arrive, come to your body, and really sort of investigate what are the sensations that are present, especially in your pelvis in this pose. As you inhale, letting that belly really fill and expand. And with an exhale, softening into this pose, maybe it might feel good to sort of swing your weight a little bit side to side, kind of coax the hips, the depth in the hips a little bit, making any adjustments that call you in your practice today. And from there, extending the arms, reaching towards the top of the mat, having those wonderful splayed fingers, and maybe resting your forehead on the floor. Gently bringing the focus again to the hips, what the sensations are. And with your inhale, I invite you to very much let your belly expand. And with the exhale, think of softening deep into your hips. As you breathe here to center yourself, I invite you also to soften the space behind your heart and feel your head, your forehead, soft and heavy on the floor. Spending a moment here to arrive to the practice today. With your next inhale, gently float your head up and come back to those forearms we did a moment ago. And then let's take our left arm and just glide it under directly out from your shoulder and finding a little thread the needle in this child's pose. Maybe the opposite arm extends, comes to the spider fingers, or maybe it just stays right by your face.
trying different versions to find where you need to be right now. Deepening the breath, allowing yourself to sink into this pose, soften into this pose. If your arm was extended, slide it so that it's close by to your head and gently pushing into it, opening and coming back to the forearms. Taking a deep breath in and out, noting how that feels in your body. And then gliding the right arm across, perpendicular to your yoga mat, softening maybe the right ear to the mat, finding what you wish to do with the left arm. Maybe it extends overhead, maybe it comes to spider fingers, or maybe it just rests right there by your head. Again, aiming to deepen and soften into the contact points that touch the floor. Feeling the deep fold in your hip crease. Allowing any tension to melt away with your exhale. Now with your next inhale, bring your left hand closer to your face and gently come up to your forearm variation of the child's pose. And now inhaling, meeting me at all fours. Let's find a little bit of hip circles. So rotating your hips around your knees. You could also think of this as a wrist circle where your arm, your lower arm, is circling around the wrist, however you wish to frame this. And then switching directions, noticing what is present, splaying those fingers wide and wonderful, listening to the spine. And then find your neutral spine where you gently pull your navel in and up. Your wrists are under your shoulders, your knees are under your hips. And gently, we're going to tuck our toes under and push into the floor, round your spine, and gently move your seat, your hips towards your heels. Inhale, come forward, open your heart, shifting your weight towards your hands. Exhaling, rounding the spine, meeting your hips with the heels, maybe. Inhaling, opening the heart. A little dynamic cat and cow here. Move with your own breath between these 2 points. Opening the thick fascia on the sole of the foot, as well as finding a little bit of movement in the spine. And then find your neutral spine. If there's any intuitive movement that calls you, by all means, find it in your body. Now today we're going to be operating on the left side. So gently placing the tops of the feet down on the mat. I'm taking a step forward with my left foot on the outside of my yoga mat. Maybe you walk that right knee a little bit further back and come to this low lizard variation. We can stay here, or if it invites you, you may place the left hand, and I'm turning here so you can see me a little bit better. You can place the left hand on your knee and gently create a twist towards the left, as well as opening your heart to the sky, seeing how that feels like. And then gently coming back to the middle, placing both hands inside that foot, push into your hands and slide that foot to the side like we did a gate pose. Maybe you open your knee a little bit and sink into this child's pose with an extended leg. Gently melting your forehead down and really feel the outer edge of the left foot kind of there's a desire for it to stay on the floor. You get this lovely little stretch to the outside of the ankle as well. Inhale, come through all fours, bring that leg, now I'm turning again so you can see me better, behind you into a calf stretch, gently pushing the heel to the space behind you. And now we're going to find our way to a supported side plank. So opening that foot just a little bit, and from there, reach the arm to the sky, looking to the sky. And again, that outside edge of my left foot is on the floor. Float up that left foot parallel to the floor and gently bend that knee. If it's available to you, reach to the space behind you and open your chest as well as the front of the hip, gently pushing into the floor. If you feel tension in your neck, you might even look down. Gently releasing that, reaching to the sky, and then finding a long side body stretch, pulling the navel in and up and really reaching away from the torso with your left hand as well as the left toes and heel. Looking down, come through the calf stretch and make your way to all fours. Let's do the other side. Stepping forward to the outside edge of the mat. Maybe you walk that back knee a little further down, further towards the back space. And stay here. Or if it calls you, you may place the right hand on the knee and find a gentle twist here. However this looks for you, however feels good in your body. A little hip opener as well as a heart opener here. Looking down, bringing both hands to the inside of the foot, pushing into those hands and making your way to a variation of gate pose. Maybe opening that knee just a little bit as you sink into this variation of child's pose. Really gluing that outside edge of your right foot to the floor. Feeling the inside of the thigh being stretched. Softening. Breathing into any tension you experience in your body. Allowing the inhale to expand. And exhale, soften. With your next inhale, float up towards your all fours and glide that foot back to your little calf stretch. Gently, I need to sort of push into my fingers a little bit here. And then we're going to prepare it for a supported side plank. So I'm lifting up my lower leg just a little bit, turning it 45 degrees, reaching my arm up, and just stay here for a moment, and then finding that parallel expression to the floor with that leg, connecting to the navel, pulling it in and up to support the spine, and bending that right knee. Maybe reaching behind you and maybe meeting that foot. Gently kicking into the hand, opening the front of the neck, front of the hip, as well as the chest. If it's too much to look up, by all means, it might feel better to look down. It might even help you with the balance. And then gently letting go, reaching that arm up again, reaching the foot away from your body, and place it down, especially the outer edge of it, and to a supported, lovely side body stretch from the right fingers to the outside edge of your right foot, pulling the navel in and up and gently pushing to the floor, lifting up your hips, looking down, coming down to your calf stretch, and gently come to all fours. Lovely. Now in all fours, let's tuck our toes under. Make sure your fingers are splayed on the floor. And I like to have a little bit of a softness in my elbows because by not locking my elbows, I get so much more control and sort of juiciness into the movement. So let's explore with that. Inhaling, gently bending those elbows, pushing into those hands, hovering the knees up, and from there, gently lifting the tail up to a very mild downward facing dog. Inhaling, coming to all fours, maybe hovering still, connecting to the center line, and gently pushing into the whole hand, finding your way to the dog. One more time. Inhaling, hovering, tall spine. Maybe you hover even a little bit with a little bit of motion back and forth. Play with it. And then find your downward facing dog. Now, again, we will be operating on the left. So, in your dog, do any housekeeping that calls you. Maybe you walk, maybe you paddle. And then from there, bring your left foot towards the front of the mat, step through, and make your way to low lunge. Yes, here we are, low lunge. Note if there's any tension in your lower back. Maybe you come up if it's a little bit too much for the lower section. Feel where you wish to be today. And place your, now I need to turn you again because I'm away from you. Place your left hand on your left heave in your left hip, in the hip crease. Reach the right arm overhead and gently find a little lateral bend to the left, opening the front of the right hip as well as the side body. Stay connected to your abdominal wall, gently pulling the navel in and up. And then come back to center. Now bring your hands to your prayer, pray your hands to your heart. And gently, we're going to support the outer arm to your left knee and find a little prayer twist. Stay here, or option, I'm going to move again so you can see me better. Option to tuck your toes under and lift up that knee, finding a little runner's lunge with a prayer twist. And then gently placing that knee down, come to frame your foot. And from here, we are simply, easily going to shorten our stance to a parallel feet pyramid. All toes facing the top of the mat. Finding that deep expression on the left hip, trying to level the hips. Deep forward fold. Don't worry about the front knee being straight or bent. Be where you need to be. Then bending into that front knee, take a step back to make your runner's lunge a little wider. And let's add an easy twist to it. Reaching up with the left arm. Maybe looking up. And then look down. Calm down. And now from our runner's lunge, we are going to walk sideways to a wide-legged forward fold. Sideways on your mat. Parallel feet. Feet facing the side of your mat. Hang there. Maybe your hips move from side to side. Allow this to be your first variation of forward fold. And then with an inhale, coming up just a little bit, keep walking towards the other end of the mat. And find your runner's lunge here. And then step to your downward facing dog. Walk the dog. Do any housekeeping that calls you. Now we're going to do the right side back towards the back of the mat. So step forward with your right foot to your low lunge. Coming up where you feel you need to be today. Placing that right hand in the right hip crease. Reaching the left arm up. And gently finding a lateral bend to the right, opening the front of the hip on the left, as well as the whole side body. Breathing here, finding length. And then gently come back to center. Find your hands in the front of your heart. Find a little twist, hooking that left outer arm to the outside of your right knee. Stay here or tuck your toes under and make your way to runner's lunge with a prayer twist. Rooting down to those feet, pulling the navel in and up. Breathing deep. Placing that left knee down if it wasn't already. Coming down. And we're going to shorten our stance to the pyramid. Wherever you wish your pyramid to be. I like the pyramid to be with all toes facing the back of the mat now, so that our feet are parallel. The front knee is invited to be a little bit bent if that feels better for you. Breathing into it, aiming to level the hips. And then gently bending into the front knee, stepping back a little bit, and let's find our easy twist. Right arm reaching to the sky. Look down, come down, and from your runner's lunge, we're going to repeat what we did. We're going to walk into our forward fold. Hang there. If you wish to play, shifting your weight a little bit, do so. Let's inhale halfway up and place your left hand just under your face. And open to the sky. Exhale, arm down. You can't quite see me. I think I need to move back a little bit. Right hand in front of your face. Inhale, open to the sky. Bring that hand back down. Let's repeat that. Inhaling. And come down. Inhaling. And come down, creating a little bit of a twist. Keep walking towards the front of your mat. Left leg in front. Step to your downward facing dog. So this pattern is what we'll use today. We'll start from one end of the mat, then we'll move through the middle and go to the other end of the mat. Just to mix things up a little bit. Inhale, float your left leg up. Exhale, step forward, knee towards the nose, and find your high lunge. Maybe the back knee bends a little bit so you have less strain in your lower back. Hug the left arm over the right. Breathe here. Lovely. Option to stay here, or maybe you find your eagle arms. Breathing into this bind and twist in front of you. And then from there, we're going to float forward to a warrior 3. If you're hugging your arms, stay with the hugging arms. If you have your eagle arms, explore the eagle arms. Shifting weight forward to the left foot, coming up to a letter T. Hips are closed. The back foot can be pointed or it can be flexed wherever you feel the most groundedness. Gently bend the standing leg, float down, reach the arms overhead. Find your high lunge with long arms overhead. From here, float the arms along the side of the body and float up to a warrior 3 again. Arms are alongside your body. Gently bending into it. Come up to high lunge again. Beautiful. Stay here for a couple moments. Really connect to your center line. Pull in your navel and support your spine. And from there, frame that foot. Walk to your wide-legged forward fold. This time around, I invite you to move your heels a little bit towards the outside so that your toes are slightly turning in, and hang there and see if that sensation is different from what we just did. Enjoying this deep forward fold. Inhale, come up just halfway and keep walking to the end of your mat on the other side, finding your runner's lunge. And we're going to step to our three-legged dog with the right foot. Right foot reaches up and gently floats down. Walk the dog. Right foot floats up again. And bring the knee towards your nose. Step through. Find your crescent lunge, high lunge. Whew. We're going to reach the right arm over the left. Hug your arms. Note what you're doing with the back foot. Maybe it needs to be bent just a little bit. And then stay here hugging your arms, or maybe you find your eagle arms. Breathing deeply. Very good. Shifting weight forward. Find your warrior three with eagle arms. Option to do what you wish with that back foot. Maybe it's pointed, maybe it's flexed. Whatever grounds you the best. Then gently bending into the standing foot, float that leg down, reach the arms overhead. And we're going to do the same thing with extended arms along the side body. Pull the navel in and up and really feel the length of your spine. Bending into that knee one more time and reaching the arms up. Now breathing deeply. Maybe you lift up your gaze. Maybe you don't. Finding this hip opener that also requires a lot of core strength. And then with an exhale, frame that front foot and walk towards your wide-legged forward fold. Again, let's turn our heels out a little bit more than the toes. And hang there. Maybe this time around you walk to the left side and hold what is available to you. Maybe you walk to the right side and you see what is available there. A little bit more added to this forward fold. Come to center. Inhale, come up just a little bit and keep walking towards the front end of your mat. We're going to step to our three-legged dog with our left foot. And then gently float that leg down. Wonderful. Very good. Take a moment in your dog. Do any housekeeping that calls you. And from there, we're going to start walking our feet forward towards the top of the mat to meet our hands in a more normal forward fold. We did a lot of wide-legged forward folds. Now we're doing a more traditional hip-width apart forward fold. And here I really invite you to bend your knees deeply. Think about pulling your belly as far up your thighs as possible and then hang there. Maybe you get a hold of your elbows. Maybe you gently think about lifting your hips up. But I'm more interested in the deep hip crease, which is created by the bend in the knees. Then gently bend more into those feet and roll up with your head coming up last. Coming up all the way. And this is where I am going to need to move all the way back here. Reaching your arms overhead. Bringing your hands to your heart center. Inhaling deeply. Exhaling deeply. Lovely. Bring your hands down to the sides. And we're going to shift our weight to the left. And I invite you to bring your right knee up. Placing the left hand on the right knee, open to a side twist. Sturdy connected, reaching with that upper arm, feeling that openness in the shoulder. Gently come back to center. Bring the hands to the knees if that's available to you. And now I invite you to find your tree pose here, bringing the heel as close to that inner thigh and then connecting it to the standing leg, pushing the standing leg to the sole of the foot. Bring your hands to heart center. Breathing here, grounding here. Gently floating the knee up just a little bit and taking a step backwards to warrior two. Lovely. Wild and wonderful. Warrior two. Very good. Breathing here. Bring your shoulder blades gently together and then reach them towards the sides of your rib cage, reaching the fingers out, making sure your kneecap traces over the second or third toe. Then extend the front leg, and reach forward with your left arm and find your way to triangle. Reaching up. I like to keep my triangle pretty high because that allows me to be very, very engaged with my core, and I'm not dumping into a pose. I'm not dumping my weight to my foot or to the floor. And here, let's bring our hands to our hips like we've done, really feeling that hip crease there under the left hand. Bend into that front knee. Notice how the lower arm is already there, and then find your extended side angle. The version that feels and calls you, feels good and calls you. Opening the body to the sky. Finding length in the side body on the right side. And from there, find your way to warrior two. And then straighten your front knee. And we are going to come sideways on our mat. Heels come in just a little bit. Toes point to the corners of my mat. Find your cactus arms and sit down in your goddess pose. Maybe we shift side to side for a little bit. And then find stillness. Note that your shoulders aim to be right over your hips. Filling the lungs with an inhale. Staying connected with your center line. Gently tuck your chin down and think about your ears moving towards the back space to have a long, long neck. Stay here, or if it's in your practice, gently at the end of your exhale, float your heels up just a little bit and then bring them down. Maybe you float those heels up just a little bit and then you bring them down. Beautiful. Straighten those knees. Turning to the back end of the mat. Surprise, surprise. Find your runner's lunge here. Come to your forward fold. And stay there for a moment. Maybe this time you experience the forward fold with straight knees. Aim to have your hips, your sit bones over your ankles. It might mean that you need to shift your weight towards your toes a little bit. But that's an interesting work right there. Instead of coming to the heels, shifting the weight towards the toes and aiming to get the sit bones over the heels. Bending the knees generously. We're going to roll up today. Head comes up last. Finding your way to the end of the mat, reaching the arms overhead, bringing the hands to heart center. Take a deep breath here. And exhale with softness. Take another deep breath in. Exhaling. Shift your weight to the right. Bring your right knee to your chest, where it likes to land. Right hand on the left knee, open to the twist. Finding space in the left chest, reaching behind you. Sturdy and stable in your standing foot. And even if you wobble, that doesn't mean that you're not grounded or sturdy. You just wobble. And then come back to center. Maybe pull that knee in just a little bit. Then finding that left heel as close to the left inner thigh as possible and place it down for the tree pose. Hands connected to the heart center. Really pushing the sole of the foot into the inner thigh of the standing leg. Gently release the left foot. Pick up the knee just a little bit and take a step back to your warrior two. Again, bring those shoulder blades together just a little bit and reach those arms out, gliding the shoulder blades to the sides of your rib cage, reaching energetically, making sure that our front knee tracks over the second, third toe, pulling the navel in and up. Wild and wonderful warrior today. From there, straighten the front knee, reaching right fingers forward along the horizon. Find your way to triangle. Again, I like to have the back of my hand against my calf and then opening, finding that twist in the upper body. Staying connected to my core line. Breathing, reaching energetically. Let's bring our hands to our hips. Observe that deep hip crease right here. And from there, bend into that front knee. And make your way to your extended side angle. Reaching the left arm overhead. Really feeling that outside edge and the heel of your left foot. Left arm reaching overhead. From there, find your way to warrior two again. And then come back with straight knees facing the side of the mat. And again, turn your heels in, toes out. And we're going to find our way to Skandasana. So gently bending into the right knee. And here I invite you to come forward with your hands. I'm about a good foot and a half in front of my leg. And then maybe you flex that left toe, sinking into this deep hip opener. Walking to the other side. And play with what is happening with your heel. I need to have a lot of width for me to have my heel down. Making sure that that hip stays aligned with the foot, just like we did in Warrior Two. Walking back to the first side. Noticing how it feels different the second time. Walking back to the second side. Deepening into the hips. Lovely. And from there, let's meet in the middle of the mat and heel toe your feet in so that you are able to find your yogi squat, malasana, toes out, heels in, or however this looks in your body. That Skandasana was a wonderful opener to get right here. Pull your navel in and up and really activate the pelvic floor muscles, pulling up gently. Finding as much ease as you can in this pose. Breathing deeply into your belly. Gently place your hands on the floor. Receive your weight with your hands and make your way back to the mat. Now I'm moving myself a little closer to you again. Open your knees and let's make our way to the wide-legged child's pose again. Reaching arms overhead, placing the forehead down. Breathe here. Sense how different your hips feel at this point on this side of the practice. And when you are ready, with a big inhale, float your energy forward to a all fours position, tabletop. We will still keep doing the left side first, and we are going to find our shoelace pose here. So this is where we do quite a few hip openers. So very gently, bring your left knee towards your fingers, loop-de-loop it around the right, maybe adjusting the right a little deeper under. So this is what it would look like. So my legs are crossed really well into each other. And then from there, I gently come down to a seated shoelace pose. Maybe you get a hold of the outside edges of the foot with your hand, looping under. Maybe you find a tall expression first in your spine. Depending how long your arms are, the hold in my feet actually creates a little bit of a stretch to my arms. But that really depends on your individual proportions, if you will. Some of us have longer arms. I am blessed with a very long back. And from there, leaning your heart forward, coming forward wherever you feel comfortable, maybe placing the hands, forearms, whatever is available to you on the floor, softening towards the earth. I notice that I need to open my arms a little bit wider to support myself because it's a little stickier the lower I get. And again, let your inhale really fill your belly as it extends with the inhale, almost like you're creating this wave of breath that has the potential to open the pose a little bit deeper into the expression of it in your body today. With your next inhale, gently come up to an upright pose. Taking a deep breath here, shoulders over your hips. And then exhale, come forward. Find your all fours and unloop the legs, finding your way to all fours. Bring the left knee forward and loop it around the left. Crossing the left a little deeper, finding that good deep cross right there, and then gently pushing your way to the seated variation of this pose. Holding on to the outside edges of the outside of your foot, finding that tall spine first. Feeling where your hips, where your sit bones are, and trying to bring your rib cage and your shoulders over them. Again, maybe you gently tuck your chin and think about your ears moving towards the back space so that you can discover a long neck and an energetic flow. And then with an exhale, melt your heart forward and find your forward fold here. Whether your hands come to the floor or on the sides. Melting the heart forward. Breathing deeply like an ocean into the belly and out. If you feel like extra stickiness in this pose, I invite you to make an exaggerated breath in and an exaggerated breath out through the mouth, letting out a sigh. Maybe repeat that and see if that removes any of that stickiness. Softening. And then with your next inhale, gently coming up, finding that upright position in the spine again. Pausing there for a moment. And And then shifting your weight forward, finding your way to all fours, and unhooking, unlooping the legs. Now we're going to bring the left knee towards behind the left wrist and turn it open just a little bit and glide that right foot back to a pigeon. Maybe you tuck your toes under, lift up that knee and place it back down. Maybe you come to your fingertips. And I wish to note that the way I teach pigeon is that it's deeply folded towards the inside thigh. My left heel is close to my inside, the inner thigh in the left leg, just like we did in that tree pose, so that my knee stays safe with that deep flexion. No torque possible when the knee is flexed very deep. And there, leaning your heart forward, finding the variation of pigeon that calls you today. Maybe it's on your forearms. Maybe you stack your hands and place your forehead on the floor. Softening into this very deep and very intense hip opener. And if you feel like you go too deep into the pose and that does not bring you joy at all, feel free to pull back a little bit. Sometimes less is more in order to get to the deep expression of the pose. And then with an inhale, gently coming up, pushing into your hands, make your way to all fours. Gliding the right knee towards the right wrist, the inside of the right wrist, turning that foot just a little bit and gliding the left foot behind you, maybe tucking those toes, reaching the heel back and then placing it back down again. Finding first that higher expression of it. And then melting the heart forward, coming down to the expression. That feels good. Reminding yourself that these two sides are very, very different and that asymmetry is very normal and not something that we should feel stress or aggravation over. Meet yourself where you are. Maybe that you stack those forearms and place you stack the hands and place your forehead on them. This side is a lot less sticky than the other side for me. And I am assuming that partially it's how my hips are and how the connections inside my femur head, in my thigh bone head, inside the pelvic bowl are. Your next inhale, float the upper body up just a little bit and make your way back to all fours. We're going to repeat the same lizard we did earlier in the beginning of the class. So I'm stepping my left foot to the outside edge of my hands. I'm going to walk my right knee back just a little bit so I get a little deeper into this pose. And you might wish to come up all the way. You might wish to stay down. Or you might even wish to explore that little bit of a twist in the upper body to the left. And I invite you to have both hands in front on the inside of your foot. And we're going to reach that right arm in front of us and then keep circling towards the back of the mat. Reaching that hand toward the back leg. And then, if it's available to you, maybe you bend that foot and your hand meets that foot. A little quad stretch. Add it here. Very, very intense. I need to come up so that I'm not bending here. So I'm trying to find this very long length in the hip as well as the chest as well as the quad. Gently releasing, coming back to the hip opener, pushing into the hands, make your way back to all fours. Right leg steps to the outside of the mat. Both hands are on the inside of the foot. Tuck your toes under if you wish. Walk that knee a little further out, placing it down. Options: stay where you are. Maybe you open to the sky. Find a little twist there. I always find this very soothing in my body. Or maybe you come all the way up. It makes the stretch quite a bit more deep. And then bring the hands to the inside of the foot. We're going to reach the left arm in front of us as far as you can. Rotate that tall arm behind you, opening. I have to come to my fingertips or even to my knee. And bend that left foot if possible. And maybe those two connect, maybe they don't. This is a very, very, very intense stretch. And it is absolutely fine that you stay with your arm reaching toward the back space. Very sticky for me on this side. Gently letting go. Coming back, hands in front of or in the inside of your foot. And come to all fours and gently sit down on your mat. Make yourself into a small ball. And bringing your head up, tip your weight just a little bit towards your sacrum, balancing right there. And then find your boat pose, the expression you want to take today. Just a brief situation. If your boat wishes to be a little bit in motion, by all means, play with that. Sometimes it's a lot more attainable if we add a little bit of movement there. And then very slowly bring your feet down and gently roll your spine all the way down to the floor. And now bring your left knee towards your chest, gently pulling that knee towards the chest, extending the right foot. And here I invite you to keep both feet with the toes pointed to the sky. Just that we activate those two feet as well as the lower leg. And that resonates to the rest of the leg. Placing the opposite right hand on my knee, I'm going to open the left to the side and guide it to the right side of my body. Maybe the foot, maybe the knee comes down, and release the feet. No need to flex them anymore. Making your way to your supine twist. Explore where you wish the gaze to be, whether it is towards the sky, towards the left arm, or maybe it's towards the right arm. Allowing the connection point in the back of your head to soften to the floor. Gently, with an inhale, floating that knee back up towards the chest. Give it one more squeeze and place that foot down on the floor. Bringing the right knee to the chest, flexing the ankle, reaching that left heel away. I invite you to have all toes pointing to the sky as you gently pull the knee to your chest. The left hand guides the right knee, opening the left arm to the side. Find your way to your supine twist, softening the tops of the feet. softening the toes. Again, play with what you would like to do with your neck, whether your gaze is to the sky, towards the right arm that is on the floor, or to the left. And as you do that, make sure that the back of your head, that connection point, gently softens into the earth and you hold no tension in your neck. Softening into this twist. With your next inhale, gently bring that knee up towards the chest. Give it one last squeeze and place the foot down. Take your left leg and cross it over the right. My ankle is over my right knee. With a long extended spine, you can stay here if this already is a hip opener for you. Other option is that you keep your upper register relaxed and long and you gently bring your right knee towards your chest. At that point, you might reach through the right thigh or through the loop and interlace your hands under the right thigh. Keep the top ankle flexed. I feel like that always secures that there's no torque in my knee, but that could be my personal choice. Finding length in your upper body, aiming not to lift anything up. And what I mean by that is in the upper body. Softening the very back of your head to the floor. Finding length in the spine as we open the hips. One more inhale. Maybe you bring that knee towards the chest just a little bit more and then place that right foot down, uncross the left. Let's find a little bit of windshield wiper side to side. And then find your knees towards the sky, crossing the right ankle over the left knee. Staying here if this is already a good opener for your hips. Or stay soft and long in your upper register and gently come up and bring your left knee towards your chest. If it's available to you, you can reach and interlace the hands under the left thigh, feeling what is available here and really concentrating on the length of the spine here, just as much as this is a hip opener. Gently softening the back of the head towards the floor, and your shoulders soft. Lengthening the spine as you open the hip. Take one more deep breath in. Maybe you even pull that knee towards the chest. Exhale, place it down. The knees towards the sky. And maybe a little bit of a smaller variation of windshield wipers. Whatever calls you. And let's find our way to our Apanasana, so our wind relieving pose, before we settle in Shavasana. Gently pulling the knees to the chest. Release the legs and make your way into Shavasana. Opening the feet towards the corners of your yoga mat. Opening the arms a little bit away from your body. And I invite you to close your eyes. If you are feeling discomfort in this Shavasana, remember that you can always bend your knees, open your feet a little wider than your hips, and let your knees to drop in for a constructed rest. Yogi's choice, whichever feels better for you today. Allow your eyes to close if that feels comfortable. And just take notice of the energies, sensations, or emotions that are present in your body and in your mind. Just take note. No need to judge. Just receive the information of what is present. And notice if anything has shifted during this practice. If you are feeling different than in the first wide-legged child's pose we did. Feel the contact points with the floor. And think about actively softening your body to the earth that supports you always. Letting your eyes soften in their sockets, gently releasing any residual tension that might be in your jaw. Softening your scalp, your ears, your neck. Feeling the shoulders wide and wonderful, as I like to say. Arms long, hands soft. Softening the heart space, front and back. Softening the abdominals. Soft pelvis, lower back on the floor, and long, heavy legs that can rest now. We will stay in this Shavasana for a few moments, after which I will guide you out. But for now, enjoy the stillness and the silence to be with yourself and feel the wholeness of you and the unique expression of life that is you. And as always, I invite you to cultivate this sense of well-being in your body. I invite you to stay here if you wish to rest a little bit more. If you feel ready to move on in your day, I invite you to find little movement in your fingers and in your toes. Maybe rolling the head side to side. Taking a deep breath in, and with the exhale, find your way to a little fetal pose on whichever side you choose. Taking a deep breath of gratitude here. And after a moment, I invite you to make your way up to an easy seated pose, however that is, your spine straight or upright. Rather, bring your hands to your heart, however you wish, and gently bring your chin down, maybe closing your eyes one more time. Feel the life under your hands, a wonderful heart that is also the seed of love and compassion. Take a deep breath into your heart, and with the exhale, opening the eyes, greeting the world with that love and compassion. Thank you for practicing with me today. I invite you to let your light shine bright, and the light within me honors the light within you. I wish you well. Thank you for joining me. If you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe to my channel and find other 60-minute streams, live streams as replays, or mindful movement snacks for you and yours. Thank you. Be well.